Hey guys, welcome back. Second video of the series. Today we're going to be looking at the solo Merlin. So we're doing faction warfare plexes again, going into the novice up through whatever and whatever we can find in any of the sites really, but we can enter all of them. This is a part one. I got enough for 2 videos, so let's get into it and see if we can have some fun. This one's a dual web Merlin, so range control, damage mitigation, all that kind of stuff. So unusual fit, but very effective. So here's the fit itself. So I got 150 rails, Tech 2 on top, 2 webs, scram, afterburner as usual, ancillary armor, damage control, and the rigs are pretty simple. Nothing too crazy, but it still projects. So anyway, we get into this guy, go into a maw, and I'm thinking, you know what, I can be sneaky and get under this guy's guns and see if I can damage him, see if his tank is weaker, which sometimes they are when they're solo, just grinding faction plexes and stuff like that. So right off the bat, make the first mistake, which is trying to go stretch him out a little bit or get in close, and I'm pretty much sitting in his optimal, and that's what happens when you do that. So I've been finding a lot of slashers lately, so they're pretty fun to fight in the Merlin because they usually have the single web, and they don't have a lot of HP. They're pretty light tanked, even when they are tanked, and as you can see, this one, he melts. And not a lot of problems with those, and a lot of them aren't like that. Slasher especially, it seems like there's not a lot of tank fit to them, but they are quick, so you got to be careful with them because they can get away from you if you're not paying too much attention. So I got a standard breacher fit on this one. You got the dual reps on it. These guys can be pretty stiff, pretty hard to fight because their tank just goes on and on and on. But this guy, I would say wasn't too hard to fight, but still, as you can see, I'm starting to creep into getting into structure here. But he's just hanging on for dear life. Had him, and we didn't even have to let go of a single rep at that point. Alright, another slasher. So I've been finding these guys more than anything, and I've been trying to skip. There's been a lot of Punisher, Tristan, Kitey stuff in the faction plexus, so I've been kind of staying away from those. I usually warp in to see what I can do to try and slingshot them and stuff, but this this Merlin is pretty slow, and it is hard. They really have to screw up. So this one, more or less the same. He goes down pretty much without a fight. I'm not even in armor yet, and he's toast. But this thing does it so well. It just webs him, holds him in place, and your rails just apply so well at that edge of scram range. So we got another slasher coming in here. This guy's fit a little bit better. He's a bit more of a tanky one. Fit properly for PvP, I would say. As where most aren't. People who are grinding plexes aren't usually fit for actual PvP. They're usually fit stabs so they can escape. But some people also use it to pick fights. So. But again, he goes down, he's right in my optimal, and he can't do much. But didn't spontaneously combust like the last. And then we got a Rifter here, which I love fighting. They're one of my favorite ships to fight. They're usually hard to kill. They're usually tanked and have somewhat projection, even if they're autocannon. As you can see, he is autocannon, so it is skipping off me for the most part, but I fought a few that were autocannon that still almost had me beat, even though I'm rail dual web fit. But it's such an ambidextrous ship, and I know it's not the king of Tech 1 frigate PvP anymore, but it's easily forgotten nowadays, I find. So it is a good fight, and then his buddies come in and basically alpha me off the field with a 400 volley, essentially putting me out of the ship at that point. So another slasher. It seemed to be somebody must have made a run on these things because they're everywhere. This one's a bit of an older fight, as you can tell with the change up. This one's the old Hull style. So, but this one was a lot stiffer than usual as well. So, but the same thing. Essentially, I put my keep at range on, and you want to be going for ships that are typically autocannon fit or blaster fit, just because, as you can see, I'm doing a pile of damage to him. I'm outside of his, or I'm deep in his fall off, so I'm out of his optimal, so he's doing very little damage to me, and I'm applying my full damage. And it's, even though he's a way quicker ship than I am, because the slasher is very fast, he's double webbed, so it doesn't really matter how slow my ship is, because it will be faster than him, because I'm double webbed and we have the same prop mod. So in the end, he goes down. Still a good fight though. He was a tough one. And then the almighty Incursus. These guys are so unpredictable. I'm nervous fighting them every time because sometimes they go down without a fight, and then other times it's like they have the tank of a battle cruiser. So as you can see with this one, he revs pretty good. He's got the web on, which some of them don't even have the web. They have a cap booster instead. But he's repping quite well. But still, as you can see, if you look at the damage notifications, I'm well outside of his fall off, so he's doing very minimal damage. And he seems to be trying to orbit me, at what it looks like, which is not helping him, because he's going to be missing more than I am, because usually when you're in your fall off, if you're orbiting a ship that's around the same size, you're going to be missing even more than you already would. So I don't recommend orbiting, just keep at range. He needs to burn into me, but since he's I'm only single webbed and he's dual webbed, I have complete range control, which is what this ship thrives on. So instead of having a huge massive tank to deal with a pretty big DPS coming in, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to hold him at range, damage mitigation. I don't need a tank if he's not hitting me, and that's obviously the whole idea of a dual web setup. So I find a catalyst sitting on a gate, and he goes to go through it, and I lock him up, and I'm thinking I can kind of maybe sneak in there by surprise and cause a bit of damage to him. So he doesn't go, so I'm thinking, okay, he wants to fight, which immediately scares me, because a catalyst can absolutely destroy you. So I engage, and then I kind of pull away, because just trying to feel him up a bit, and nothing's happening. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's got, you know, a buddy or what's going on, so I'm a little nervous fighting him. And but he's not going. He could have jumped any time there. He's not pointed at all. So anyway, I dive back in, and now I'm at very dangerous. I should have engaged a little bit further, or not got as close to anyway. But we pull out, and I'm sitting at, you know, if he's blaster fit, which he is, I'm at a very good position, because you'll see for the most part he misses or gets like the odd hit kind of thing. Very tankable as far as a destroyer goes. A destroyer can usually you know, 2 or 3 shot a frigate, especially an active one like me, where I don't have any buffer at all. It's just all relying on my active and damage mitigation. But it is working here. As you can see, he's not applying a ton of damage, because these things are crazy. They have so much DPS. Down he goes. But it just shows you, if you're basically exploiting their weakness, which is a short range, and mine is a fairly long range, you can get away with stuff like that. And I run into an executioner who's using a very similar fit to the last video there, the solo executioner, and this is how powerful it is. Though he's on me, he's quicker than me, and our optimals are about the same. And just look at the DPS he can peel out of this thing. It's crazy. He's hit me so hard. I'm just hanging on, and he's starting to orbit me, which actually in this situation is better, because he will track better than me. So I'm gonna have less damage application, because he's orbiting me, so I'm gonna miss more often, as where he's likely not going to, and apply his full damage. And as you can see, I just can't keep up with him. Everything's overloaded, and he's still crushing me. Good fight to him. That shows you how powerful that executioner is. So, and then another incursus. This one I want to focus, if you're watching my top row there, heat management and how important it is. So I overheat the afterburner to get away from him, because his DPS is huge up close. But if I can pull away to where I am here, it's not as bad. He actually, in this fight, still projects pretty good DPS, even though he's blaster fit. So I'm overheating the point, because I think I'm going to slingshot out, which I'm in no danger of, so I should have turned that off. So I'm overheating the micro warp drive to get a bit further away as well, because I'm at 6,000. I want to be closer to 7,000 or past that. But as I'm doing it, I don't pay attention to my heat that's just building up like crazy. And sure enough, as I realize it, my prop is about to burn out, but I don't realize this until the last second, and then everything burns out. So I could have escaped right here too, though. I am not pointed at all, but I didn't realize this, thinking I already am pointed, and I didn't burn out far enough until now. Right now I'm going, okay, I need to warp, and it's too late. He's got me back scrammed. So I'm just trying to finish him off before he finishes me off. No pace, and that's it for me. So heat management, very important. You can't escape with no problem mod. So I find a Kestrel, which is not always a common thing in Plex warfare, but I do like fighting them. They're usually tanky, very strong ships with good DPS. So This one was fairly even. You can see our health is very close to each other most of the fight. In fact, I'm starting to fall off here. We go at it, and the Kestrel gets lethal on stab and missile, so you can select your damage type, which is always helpful in a one-on-one where you can do a bit more. He can shoot EM at me where I can only shoot kin or thermal because it's blasters, or railguns I mean, but hybrid ammo essentially. So I find a Merlin out there, and I decide to go after him, and can't figure out how to target somebody, I guess, so it took me quite a while to get him targeted. Lost where that button was, I guess. But anyway, as you can see, I am way too close to him in the perfect distance. And my sound is a bit screwed up on this one, so I just knocked off the sound altogether. But it's a really good fight to show how strong the Blaster Merlin is. And I'm desperately trying to gain distance on him. And as you can see, as I'm going to, further and further away, I'm able to tank his damage. His damage is going down while mine's going up because I'm moving into my optimal and he's going into his fall off. So as you can see, comes down to the point where he's actually doing 0 damage. My shield's actually starting to passively charge by itself. And then once you get through his shields, that's pretty much it for him. And he can't close the distance because I have those 2 webs. That's it for him. It's all over at this point. And down he goes. But it does show you the strength of a Blaster Merlin. When up close, they can melt you. So without the range, without the kitiness, without the double or the dual webs, that would have been it for me. So when we come to a Tormentor, I always like fighting Tormentors. They're brawly ships. They're always in for a fight. So we start going at it, and I notice he's Pulse Fit, which is a very common fit, but I do see more and more Beam Fit of these guys. So the Tormentor is a funny ship. It can have lots of DPS and it can have a very stiff tank as well. So you got to be pretty careful fighting these guys. But the good thing about the Merlin, the dual web Merlin especially, is you can hold them right at scram range. So if you do need to bail, like I should be thinking about here, you're already right at the edge. So you just keep your webs on, aligned to where you're going to warp out, and then warp. And it's fairly simple to escape at that point. But I'm thinking I can get greedy here and kill this Tormentor and then switch over to the Atron before the Atron applies his DPS, because I'm assuming the Atron is Blaster Fit, which a lot of them are. So he's moving on in, and the Tormentor's starting to go down. So I pulled as much range as I could, but the Atron's on me now, and he's trying to get in orbit. So switch back to him and start to go at him. But instead of just going in a straight line, which I should have, because he'll come after me, I go back into him, keep at range. I'm already past my maximum range, so my ship will move towards him naturally, which gets me 4k away from him, which if I kept him at 8, I probably would have been okay. He's a neutron blaster, so if I never got that close, I wouldn't have taken this damage, and I didn't put my auto reload off on my thing, on my repper, so it runs out of pace and starts automatic reloading. So that's it. Part 2's coming up. We'll see you next time, guys.